live. Hello, ladies. This is not just ladies. We might have men listening to this as well. So hello, anyone who's listening. Friday Marketing Show, our last one of the summer. We are back in September once we've had a well-earned break. So great to see everybody here today. We are going to be talking about validating your offer, isn't it? Is that right, ladies?
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect.
Talk to me about it. Someone talk to me.
This is your wheelhouse. It's your turn to shine.
Yeah, I could just, how long have I got? Have I got the whole 20 minutes just from me?
You can take it all, Janine. Just you do 20 minutes. I'm going to make a cup of tea. Laura's got to take a parcel delivery.
I think cutting to the chase. Let's cut the C word. It's the best way to validate an offer is to stick it out there. Not that C word, you didn't really do.
It's sure.
This is a PG podcast, by the way.
The best way to validate an offer is to stick it out there and see whether someone's going to buy it. It's the, you see people saying, oh, you can ask your audience and, for instance, I see people asking how much should I charge for this? It's like, I never ask how much to charge. People always lie. They always lie about how much to charge. You'll only know if they're going to buy once they put their money where their mouth is and actually pay you the money. You can get people on wait lists, and that can be a nice indicator whether something's got legs or not, but you will only truly know if something's going to sell once people have paid for it. I
spoke to a prospective client the other day, and I was amazed, like basically what they'd done. Just amazed because it's such a great thing to do. And, these guys obviously did have an understanding of marketing. So they set up like a landing page, which looked like an actual sales page with the 3 different options to purchase at the different level of, like the low level, the middle level. And they'd driven some Instagram ads and some Facebook ads, and they'd had like 2,000 people go to the landing page, and X number of people had clicked on that one and on that one, and on that one. And when they basically clicked to buy it, it said, thanks so much, we haven't actually got this available yet, but if you put your name down here, you'll be the first to know, and you'll get information about you'll get some discounts, or you'll get some value add. And so not only did they get all of that information about what people would be prepared to pay, they also got like a whole load of people's email addresses that they then reached out to, that they then had conversation with about what those people wanted. And it's quite amazing because that I think, I can't even remember what they spent a really small amount of money, but it enabled them to reach their ideal audience and actually find out what they'd be prepared to pay. Like you were saying, Janine, they weren't just saying, would you pay £5 a month, £10 a month, or £20 a month? There was actually a box for them to purchase from. I thought that was
really, I was going to say, because you're capturing data as well. So then you can then spend the time then nurturing that audience until that particular product's ready to launch.
Why didn't they sell it though?
Because it wasn't ready. So they're creating like an app. They're like a tech, tech business, and they're creating an app, and they're in the sort of stages of doing their MVP. So they're basically looking to get funding and looking to get investment, and they want to say to investors, we know that if we spend X amount of money on, even in a test, if we spend X amount of money on paid Facebook ads and Instagram ads, we've managed to drive 2,000 people who are interested about our product to our landing page. And of that, X number have converted and said that they actually want to buy this product at this price, that price, and that price, which basically allowed them to test those different prices. So they didn't have it ready. They just then was like saying, just that little bit of hypothesis. They're very into testing hypotheses, which is obviously what marketing is all about. And that bit of test of validating their offer has then allowed them to actually then go and speak directly to those people that were willing to pay and say, what is it exactly that you want about this, this app? How do you want it to work? What could be better? What could we do to improve things? And they've got this kind of captive audience as well who are totally happy to do research.
I love that. It's super clever, isn't it? And you don't have to spend a lot of money on Facebook ads driving that traffic to do that bit of testing. And you're kind of like generating buzz as well. So you're capturing the data, you're generating buzz, you're getting some information. You're going to be able to go to funders and kind of almost prove that there's like an appetite for what you're selling. And it's just testing, isn't it? Which is great, because I think if you can do that, it's a lot easier to do that than to go and create the whole product and then realize that nobody wants it, which is the other side of it, which is problematic. And maybe like people like me and us, we create services, so it's much easier for us to go, right, I'm going to create this service and it's 3 months long, it looks like this, I'm going to create a sales page and stick it out there, and then go, actually I need to tweak it, or people didn't buy it. But if you're going to go and create an app or a product that takes money, revenue, time, energy, and you've done the wrong product and everybody's like, no, I don't want it like that, or it doesn't look good, you've kind of gone down a bit of a cul-de-sac, haven't you? So I suppose this idea of validating your products also depends on, is it something tangible that will take time and effort to create, build, do, or is it something that you can just whip up in an afternoon and put it out there? Because that makes a difference as well. I remember speaking to a guy, and he loved surfing, but he hated having to take his surfboard to the beach in the car. So he kind of created something that you hook onto your bicycle, and he literally made it with plywood and gaffer tape, and just cycled down to the beach and said, do you want one of these? And people were like, yeah, that's amazing. And that was enough for him to know that there was an appetite for the product. So I think it depends what the product is and how much time and effort has gone into it, of how much testing you need to do. But like me, Janine, Emmy, all of us, we could just whip up a product and create a sales page in an afternoon, really, and go, ta-da! Do you want my 10 million ways to X out your client base product? Yeah, like, we're not really building something in the same way. So I think it depends what it is you're putting out there, doesn't it? And how much risk there is, I suppose. There's a risk factor, isn't there, to creating product.
Time is money, you know, like even if you're doing a service, time is money, isn't it? So, you know, we talked a lot about this, Debbie, a while ago, about the sort of lean startup method where, you know, if you want to build something like, you know, even like Growth Collab is like the prime example. You could literally just do that by just, you know, you don't even need a website or a sales page or stuff initially. You could just reach out to like 10, 15 people. You could reach out to 5 people and just say, you know, I've been thinking of you. I think this offer's perfect for you. Here's a Google Doc. You know, and actually this book that I think we've been reading, what's it called? Traction, Debbie?
Yeah, Traction.
That he was kind of saying, you know, often when you're setting something up or something's quite new, you know, the first people are buying, oh yeah, it's a great book. The first people are buying are kind of friends and contacts anyway. And, you know, it's actually much easier to sell to a warm audience. And sometimes you do literally just have to get on the phone and speak to those people. And so it's trying not to spend lots of time and money, isn't it? Creating a website and a whole online program and a this and a that before you've actually found out if people want to buy it.
And it's something that, as you know, I don't always class myself as an online business owner, but, you know, thanks to COVID, it seems to be that I've been popped in that box. But when I was launching a group training program, I didn't actually know if that's what my audience needed, because I've been, you know, a public relations consultant for so long. I've been so used to doing it for people. I wasn't sure if there was the need and the desire from kind of solopreneurs and startups. So I was able to then run a beta test. And again, it was just talking to people I already had in my network. And it was just literally, I'm putting on this thing. Are you going to be interested? Sent them a Google Doc, sent them a link to PayPal to pay me, bish, bash, bosh. And it was a really great way of me being able to kind of, what is it my sales mentor calls it? Dirty, like quick and dirty launch. So you're not actually
dirty launch. The language in today's show, my goodness.
I know. It's the end of term. Everyone's going a bit bonkers, aren't they?
But it really worked, because it meant that I could test and I could tweak and I could get the feedback before then launching it properly with a sales page and with it directing to my website and all this other stuff. So I think when you are service based, it's maybe easier to validate an offer. Would you agree?
Yeah, because you can just put something out there. I think also that idea of validation, it's not just validating the offer, is it? It's validating us as humans.
Yeah.
Because we put so much into the products that we create and we love them and we think this is great and people are going to love it. And if you do put something out there and put a lot of time and effort into it and then you just hear crickets, that can be kind of a little bit soul destroying. So being able to do it in increments and test things out kind of helps you build your confidence in what you're selling and your offer, and kind of validates you as an individual as well. Because it's vulnerable, isn't it? Sticking your neck on the line and going, I'm doing this thing. You like it? And then nothing happens. And you're like, oh, I've made a tit of myself on social media, you know. So I think being able to do that in baby steps and working out where they are and what you need to do to validate you and your offer means that you can build up that confidence over time. And maybe the first time you do something, you do it with a smaller group of people. And then the next time you grow and you kind of do it like that. But yeah, I think this is a great conversation, because people will be listening to that and be wanting to put new products out there and not wanting to go all out. And I think being able to have a few steps before you launch something massive is a good idea.
Yeah, I find like especially I think as solopreneurs, as you say, like that exposure and being vulnerable and you know, putting yourself out there can be quite difficult. So I do love the fact that one of the things that quite a few people have done has been collaborations, you know, like Debbie and Amy, you guys are doing it as well, like joining up and teaming up with people who have the same sort of value system as you do, and can help kind of push and drive your business a bit more. And I think that's probably one of the strengths that you're able to do, not only as a service-based business, but also as a product-based business, you know, like trying to find out who could be that brand partner or that business partner that can help you elevate that offer it is that you're looking to deliver. Because you might not have all the knowledge, and some people are quite fine to just go straight in there and do it. But if it's easier for you to work alongside someone and start filling in those gaps and learning and growing, not only what your business offer is, but also who your ideal people would be, I think collaboration is a great way to go about doing that as well.
Oh, we love a collab.
I know, and actually that's a really good point, because I think with Growth Collab, when I was running it on my own, it is quite full on to do something on your own, and it's scary to keep putting stuff out there and trying to launch new things. And when you do it with someone else, it's, you know, it's much better, because if you do, you know, I think with all these things we're testing, aren't we? There's always going to be things that you put them out there and you get no traction. And instead of thinking that's a reflection on me, that's just a reflection of the offer, and you're getting feedback, and then actually you're going to launch something better next time. But it can definitely feel a bit of a kick in the face, can't it, if you put a lot of time and effort into something and you don't get that. And I think that's why it's nice to do it with someone else as well. So totally agree, Yolanda. I mean, if you can find someone and you like working with other people, then it makes total sense to sort of do that with other people, doesn't it? Especially when you're testing out new offers and things like that.
It's good to get inspiration from other people as well, in a way. And that can be a low risk way of kind of validating your ideas as well. So for instance, you were saying, you know, if you launch something and you don't get the traction you want, you can have a look at it and say, okay, are other people offering something similar? Do they seem to be getting more traction? Okay, maybe it's not a problem with the idea. Maybe it's the execution, or maybe my messaging's not sharp enough, or whatever. And I think you do have to be careful when you're kind of looking at other people, because you don't want to compare.
Yeah.
Especially women, you can fall down comparisonitis hole. But it's interesting. I'm at the risk of going off topic here, but it's interesting. I have clients, and I've suffered from this myself, when you have an idea and then somebody launches something just very similar, like the day before you're going to launch. You're like, oh no, I can't do that offer now because that person's doing it. But that might just be that you're on trend, you're hitting the nail on the head. Actually, there is a need for it, you know, and just because somebody's offering something that's similar doesn't mean you can't offer something similar. It might just mean that it's a really good idea, and you are definitely going to bring your own energy and your own personality and skills to it. So it can be sort of a good sign, and it shouldn't mean that you stop.
And chances are and you've got a different audience as well. This is what I say to people, especially from a PR perspective, when they see a competitive brand in the press and they freak out. And it's like, no, it's the validation that the audience want it. But actually what you're doing is maybe slightly different. Like Janine, you just said, a different energy. So I think sometimes we just have to get out of our head and just just put it out there and see what happens.
There's a moment of like a zeitgeist, isn't there, I think, in that, when like ideas seem to surface and then several people seem to be talking about things at the same time. And I think there's a book that I really like called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, and it's this idea that, like, yeah, ideas are floating around and we're not the genius. The ideas are like the genius, and they're just looking for people to settle on, to go with the idea. And so there'll be something out there in the ether, and it might attract several people at once. So I think that stuff is really interesting. But I always think with like Brick Lane, like the first kind of Bangladeshi restaurant must have been like, yes, I'm a Bangladeshi restaurant in London, and then looked across the road and went, oh no, there's another Bangladeshi restaurant. Shit, they're going to take all my custom. And then it's like, there's a third, there's a fourth, and then it's like, yeah, this is why people come to Brick Lane now, isn't it, to have like a great Bangladeshi or Pakistani dinner. And actually there's strength in knowing that there's other things similar to you, because there's appetite and you know that people want it, and there's not just one Bangladeshi restaurant in my hometown of Nottingham. There's loads, but people always have their favorite, and they go to the favorite because they like the people who run it, or they like the particular curry, or they like the sides that you get with it. And so we, like Janine said, we all bring our own flavor to it. So I think it's great to look around, but we need to, like, I love Janine saying, don't fall into the comparisonitis hole. Yes. Don't fall into the sea hole, which, you know, going back to our earlier thing. But it's a balance, isn't it, between creating products and looking at what's around you, but not feeling that fear of, I can't do it, you know, or they're doing it better than me, because you're going to bring your own thing to it. And I think the more that you understand, like Yolanda said, what your values are and what sets you apart from somebody else, the more you can kind of create something that's a little bit different from what everybody else is doing.
We've had a question from a viewer.
Go on then.
Sophia has said that she was having a conversation with someone the other day who had got in touch to offer her product or service. When Sophia asked for more information and the price, this other person then sent her to watch a 45-minute webinar. Now, if you want to know the price and some information about something, I'd say that I'm not going to commit 45 minutes to watching a webinar. The price and the information. So Sophia was saying that she declined the offer. But I think it's really important as well to kind of talk into this, because so many people will follow the blueprint of someone else without maybe knowing what works for them and their audience. So I haven't heard of sending someone to a webinar when they want to buy from you, unless you're kind of launching off the back of a challenge. So I think it's a really interesting one to talk about. If someone asks for the sale, like, surely you'd give it to them.
Yeah, that feels like you might end up wearing them out a little bit, mightn't you? 45 minutes is a long time. The other thing that Sophia said is that only 5 minutes out of the 45 minutes had any useful content. So that just put her off the person, because it's like there wasn't anything good in there. And I think, yeah, it's got to be valuable, isn't it? If you are going to make somebody watch a 40-minute webinar, it needs to be rammed full of stuff that's actionable and amazing. Otherwise, it's just, I don't have 45 today.
It's kind of taking the piss, isn't it? If you expect someone to sit through a webinar for 45 minutes and you don't give them any value, I think that's the thing. Like, I always think, even if, you know, I don't actually mind if someone sits through my webinar or masterclass and gets loads of value, that's great. You know, that's just a bonus for everyone, isn't it? It's not, doesn't necessarily need, as we all know, it won't always necessarily end up in a sale there and then. It's like you say, Laura, you've known people for 2 years and then they finally come back to you. It's those multiple touch points. But yeah, I mean, obviously that's a good lesson to everyone, isn't it? Don't make people sit through very long webinars and give them nothing of value and then expect to make a sale.
No, I mean, if people are converting sales on short form video like Reels, you know, if you're promoting something in the space of 15 seconds, why would I choose to then go and sit through a 45-minute video to find out the price of something or the value of something that I need to buy? There needs to be lots of, as you were saying, like touch points for the customer that reinforces that this is a great purchase and what you're investing in is something that you're really going to love and enjoy and get lots of value out of. Yeah, and the way to do that is probably not redirecting them down copious amounts of hoops before they actually decide to invest in you. I don't know about that one, Sophia.
Ladies, we're off. We're going to say goodbye. We've got to finish before 20 minutes. So it's goodbye for the summer. See everyone in September.
Have a lovely August.
Bye, everyone.